Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a video review. And for this review, we're going to be taking a look at Doom Eternal for the PlayStation 4, base PS4 to be exact. The game is also available on the Xbox One, PC via Steam, and Google Stadia, and supposedly it will be coming to the coming to the Nintendo Switch, assuming Bethesda and Panic Button that are handling the Switch version announce a release date, hopefully soon. And if you're interested in any of the gameplay footage of me playing Doom Eternal on the PS4, I'll have a link down in the description down below, and you can check that out. In 2016, id Software, along with publisher Bethesda, released Doom, or often referred to it as Doom 2016. This was a reimagining of the original classic Doom, released back in the 90s though, that and Doom 2 as well. Often many people refer to that as the granddaddy of first-person shooters, that along with Wolfenstein 3D. And it was surprisingly a very fun and enjoyable first-person shooter. It was a little bit different in some places, such as it being more of a fast-paced approach rather than your traditional first-person shooters, whether it's games like BioShock or Borderlands, which I enjoyed those series, or Call of Duty. This one, they basically had you keep moving as you had to deal with fast-paced enemies and all that stuff. And you know what? It was fun, and I actually enjoyed it though. At a time when basically Call of Duty was just dominating, and it was basically that was like a real game, like that was like people treating like that's the game everyone plays. No, Doom was just basic, over the top, and was just fun, and I enjoyed that title, even when it also was ported over to the Nintendo Switch, which, while that version didn't look exactly as good as what the PS4, Xbox One, or PC version had, it was still impressive that it made it onto that system though. Fast forward a couple years later, and Bethesda and id basically came back, this time with a sequel, Doom Eternal. Like Doom 2016, this is a reimagining of Doom 2 and so forth. And after playing a couple of weeks of it, I honestly have to say that, like Doom 2016, Doom Eternal is a fun, enjoyable, over-the-top first-person shooters, despite two caveats I have. One that I think is way more serious than the other one though. But before we get to the console, we'll start off with our pros and cons. So we'll start with the first one, which is the pro. And the first one we want to talk about is that Doom Eternal has a story. Now, as much as I enjoyed Doom 2016, or Doom when it came out in 2016, I did feel that it was sort of lacking a story, very much similar to Rage. Good game, but the story wasn't there, and that was sort of one of my disappointments with Doom 2016, because it had an interesting world and all that stuff, and I would have loved to hear a little bit more of the lore, even if it's like over the top or anything like that. Well, Doom Eternal sort of fixed that, and it actually has a story. You learn a little bit more about, the demons invading demons from hell invading the earth. Got that one mixed up. To a bit more of the lore of the Doom Slayer and so forth. So it actually has a story. It's over the top, but yet at the same time, it has me hooked and all that stuff. Now, some people may or may not like the story. Some people prefer, like it was in Doom 2016, that, the story took a backseat, it was the gameplay, and I can understand that argument, but I'm glad that id Software went back and actually produced a story, and I'm really good that they did that, though. The next thing I do want to talk about is basically the gameplay, and like Doom 2016, the gameplay follows that over-the-top, fast-paced gameplay, though. You basically have, you don't aim down or anything like that. You gotta keep moving. You guys, take out the enemies as quickly as possible. If you do enough damage, you can do like an instant kill, which basically drops health, which you definitely need because your health doesn't regenerate in this game or anything like that. You also have the chainsaw, which acts as, depending on what kind of enemy you face, you could cut them off with the chainsaw and get ammo and all that stuff. However, if you fill the chainsaw bar up really high, you could take out even some of the more tougher enemies in this game, though. but it still follows that tried and true, fast-paced, over-the-top kind of gameplay that I enjoy. Some of the weapons from the first one make a return, from first Doom 2016 make a return, while there are some new ones as well, and all that. Now, the gameplay, of course, may not appeal to a lot of people. Some people may not like the fast-paced approach. I certainly did. I enjoyed it in Doom 2016. It took me a little bit to understand it, but eventually I got what id Software was aiming for with their take on their first-person shooter, though. And that still remains in this one. And it is still fun and enjoyable indeed. And last but not least, I do want to talk about the multiplayer mode, or the, shall we say, the asymmetric multiplayer mode. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm more into the single player stuff. I'm not big on multiplayer and all that stuff. Some people like that, that's fine. I'm just not a big multiplayer person or anything like that. But I did get a chance. I did try out the battle mode that's in the game, and it's kind of fun in a way, though. It's basically, if I'm saying this correctly, and it's an asymmetric multiplayer, though. Here you have 3 people, though. One is the Doomslayer, and the other 2 are the demons. So, and you basically fight each other with a time limit, though, and whoever defeats the others wins. So, for example, Doomslayer has, you know, his abilities and all that stuff to take out the demons, while the people who play the demons, and there are several different types of demons you can choose from, you have the ability to summon other demons or attack Doomslayer and so forth. It's an interesting concept to the battle mode, and it's certainly different than what the battle mode they had in Doom 2016, which was just, to me, I felt like it was just a basic battle mode and all. So, I'm not, like I said, I'm not big on multiplayer, but I will say the battle mode in this one compared to Doom 2016, which was traditional multiplayer, it's kind of neat, and I like the whole asymmetric idea that they added into it. So as far as this multiplayer mode goes, you know what? Again, I think it was kind of fun. It's not my cup of tea all the time, but I like what id Software was trying to do in terms of multiplayer mode in Doom Eternal. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 2, which is the cons. So we'll take a little break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our video review of Doom Eternal for the PlayStation 4. Now that I gave you the pros, why don't we get started with the cons? And there really is only 2 cons, as I mentioned earlier. One of them being, I think it's the most important one, though. But we'll start with the first one, and that has to do with the platforming in Doom Eternal. Now, the gameplay is, now as I mentioned earlier about the gameplay, I do think it's fun, it's over the top and everything like that. But I do want to point out that during my time at the game, there certainly is a lot more platforming than there was in Doom 2016. And while that's not necessarily a bad thing, and I'm not saying it is, platforming can be a little bit tricky in this game. Now, to be fair, platforming in a first-person view and all that stuff, it has a history of being kind of can be difficult at times, though. There are some games that I think do it very well, like the Metroid Prime series, in my opinion, though. But Doom Eternal, let's just say it's not impossible, but it can be difficult, especially when you're trying to land your jump to make sure it's spot on and everything like that. You do have the ability to wall climb and all, and you do have the ability to do a double jump and a dash. And if you know how to do that and know how to maneuver around, or do that stuff, you'll be able to kind of maneuver around the level without a huge amount of issues. But like anything, though, because you're doing it in a first-person view, platforming in Doom Eternal can be kind of tricky. It was like that in the original Turok Dinosaur Hunter when it came out in 1997, especially when trying to aim some of the jumps, especially in level 3. That was kind of difficult. So platforming in Doom is kind of tricky. It's not impossible. It doesn't make the game unplayable. And like I said, if you know how to handle the double jump and the dash, you should be able to move around. But being this is in a first-person view, the platforming it can be difficult at times, though. And last but not least, and this I think is probably the biggest con, and one of One reason that might turn some people off. Some people may not think it's a big deal, others maybe. When I got the game and everything like that, it turns out that in order to play the game, you have to use Bethesda.net. That's right, if you try to boot this game up, they will tell you you need to sign up for Bethesda.net to actually play Doom Eternal. This to me is a blatant anti-consumer practice right over here. I should not be forced to sign up for Bethesda.net just to play Doom Eternal. We saw this crap being pulled when I think Doom and Doom 2, the original games, made their way over to the Nintendo Switch when it was discovered that they were forcing you to sign up for Bethesda.net. I should be able to hop into this game right away. I mean, it's one thing if you're offering an option to sign up and all that stuff. That's fine if it's optional, that's understandable. But to force consumers, force people to sign up to play to Bethesda.net to play Doom Eternal, even if you're just playing the single player mode, is utterly ridiculous. And it's one of many reasons why a lot of people are very much not happy with AAA developers that pull this kind of crap. Especially Bethesda, which has sort of been under the microscope, especially after what they pulled with Fallout 76. And somebody tells me that they kind of forced, somebody tells me that Bethesda forced this onto its software. And many are concerned it's only a matter of time before we see something like microtransactions in Doom Eternal. Right now, that hasn't happened yet, and we don't know if that will happen. Hopefully it doesn't, but there is the concern. But in either way, this is dumb, Bethesda. I should never be forced to sign up for Bethesda.net just to play, even if it's just playing the single-player portion of Doom Eternal. This is utterly ridiculous. And the fact that I had to search and see that the only way you can play it is if you unplug your system from the internet just to even play the single-player mode. That is, pardon my language, fucking ridiculous, though. So this, to me, is the biggest con of them all. This is very, very anti-consumer, Bethesda. Overall, putting the anti-consumer part aside, though, which I still think is utterly ridiculous, and I still think Bethesda deserves to be criticized for this, Doom Eternal is still a fun, enjoyable first-person shooter, though. The game it's an over-the-top gameplay, not to mention visually it looks good even on a base PS4, though. The fact that it finally added a story, which is enjoyable, is certainly nice. And the battle mode, which is, I believe, an asymmetric multiplayer mode, it's kind of fun and everything like that. Yes, platforming can be a little tricky, though, like I mentioned, especially when you're doing it in first-person view, but that hasn't stopped me from enjoying Doom Eternal, though. If you like Doom 2016, I definitely would recommend Doom Eternal. It's fun, it has that over-the-top, fast-paced gameplay and all that stuff, and it definitely is a fun game. It's just that anti-consumer thing that Bethesda does kind of ruins it a little bit when they're forcing you to sign up for Bethesda.net. But putting that aside, Doom Eternal is still a fun game. And if they ever do a Doom 3, and I'm not talking about Doom 3 that they released on the original Xbox back in 2004, and then later ported over to other system under the Big Freaking Guns edition, which Doom 3 was basically a reimagining of the first Doom and all that stuff. I do hope that if a Doom 3 really does happen, I want it to be an actual sequel to, Doom and Doom Eternal. Not another reimagining of Doom 1 or Doom 2, but a real sequel. Call it Doom 3, Doom Resurrection, whatever you want to call it. But I would definitely be down with an actual sequel to Doom 1 and Doom 2. But overall, I like Doom Eternal. I think it's an enjoyable game, but I am definitely not happy with the way Bethesda pushed their anti-consumer practices with the Bethesda.net. Okay, this concludes my video review of Doom Eternal for the PlayStation 4. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about Doom Eternal? Have you picked up Doom Eternal? And if so, are you playing on the base PS4 or PS4 Pro? Are you playing on the Xbox One or Xbox One X or Xbox One S? Are you playing it on Stadia? Are you having any issues with it on Stadia or not? Or did you pick it up on PC and Steam? And if so, are you enjoying the game? Do you like the story? Do you like the gameplay? Is the multiplayer fun in any way? Do you agree that the platforming can be a little tricky and all? And do you agree with me that the Bethesda forcing you to sign up for Bethesda.net is a very anti-consumer practice? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal Me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!